toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome to Global Moning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
the legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU
The
strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome to Global Moning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
the legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU
The
strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie.
It's another beautiful morning from the nation's capital, where we, of course, are marking the 8th day of October of the year 2024. Good morning and welcome to Global Morning live from the nation's capital. A pleasure to have you join us this morning. A whole lot of concern in bids to track some of the stories and the news in Nigeria. A whole lot of concern when it has to do with what is happening in Rivers State. The presidency just yesterday broke the silence in response to the incident of the elections of local government in Rivers State. All of that has been one of the top charts, the stories of the nations. Of course, the concern over the weekend, we had local government elections across some states, in Benue State, in Akwa Ibom State, and out of Rivers. All of this is what we tracked. And how far has this really exercise gone deep in response to the Supreme Court judgment that every state must conduct local government elections if they must access the allocation from the federal government? Well, today on the program, we'll be looking at that as well. Of course, a whole lot of concern about how far the presidency is tackling the economy. The NNPC, the Dangote refinery is still on the other side having a back and forth. We'll also track back to see what really happened. But I'm not going to be doing this alone this morning. I have my co-host live here in the studio. Good morning, Queen.
Good morning, Edika Michael. It's a pleasure to be here.
Always a very beautiful morning to you. Concern about how far the economy is faring when you look at the fact that NNPC are still having a back and forth with their product as to if they should allow, independent marketers to also be buying from Dangote. They were trying to be a middleman and trying to be between the marketers and the Dangote. But now it looks that they have now granted access to independent marketers to have access to Dangote refinery, so has to, lift products from there. So I feel it's a signal that probably if things goes well, the price of fuel may have some,
it is like we recorded in some cities. I think that should be Abia State, where fuel is now between the ranges of 1,200 and 1,250 or thereabouts.
Compared to
1,400 and 500 respectively. So it's a good move, and we look forward to seeing the price of fuel go a bit below again, so that Nigerians can be encouraged.
And now the first story I actually touched was that of Rivers State. Just yesterday, even when many people were asking, the president is not talking, he's not speaking. It looks like the presidency had to respond, to the issues, and has called the IG of police to mobilize, men back to the local government secretary. We saw burning of some of these sites. We saw, quite very disheartening visuals coming from some of the local government in River State. All of that was a concern, and the presidency seems to, at the point, respond swiftly to these issues and concern, underscoring the fact that he is not in any way silent about it, and he understands what might be going on. He has called on the political actors to see how they can share all of these situation and for peace to reign in River State. Some person who said, Mr. President, that was a good move, but someone who said, it wasn't timely. The silence of the president all this while was sometimes taken to be, one-sided support.
One-sided support. Communication is very key. Communication is very vital. And in cases like this, as regards the Rivers crisis and politics in Rivers State, knowing who is who, we expect, adequate and proper response from, stakeholders, key people, the president in particular, so that it doesn't look like the president is in the side of, members of his party or people who are working very close to him, so as to, and now the impression the people have now is that a fraction has the backing of the president, or has the upper hand because of the president's silence. But it's good. We like that he has made this statement, but we wish it was earlier than it came, better and earlier than it came.
A lot of concern right there, and kudos to the presidency for seeing how we can go into the River State crisis in a bid to resolving all of the concern. Well, we'll go to the papers and to get to the stories and what the newspapers really have for us this morning as we begin to track some of the stories and have some interactions about it. We'll have more experts join us on the program this morning to extract some of the headlines and, of course, giving us an insight on the happenings in the country. Do stay with us on the program. I'll be right back.
Moning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Get in on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Many thanks for staying with us on the morning show. Let's now get to the papers, beginning with Delhi Independent this morning. The big stories from Delhi Independent has it. Rivers LG poll. Tinubu warns angry parties against self-help. A writer to that story asks aggrieved parties fomenting trouble to go to court. Thanks security operatives to bring situation under control. 3 killed. 3 LG secretariat set ablaze, violence spreads. Fubara condemns burning of secretariat, fingers wicked loyalist. Rivers SG inaugurate election petition, appeals tribunals. That's on page 29 of the Delhi Independent. We also have a couple of other stories here at the Delhi Independent. Anyaku calls for change in tactics of fighting corruption. Anyaku calls for change in tactics of fighting corruption. Tinubu not averse to food security in Nigeria, says Shetima. Alright, 6 strengthened collaboration with World Food Program. That's coming from the Vice President Kashim Shetima. Public-private sector's synergy way to overcome economic woes. FG. Edo Gowa poll. Tribunal orders INEC to grant Igadolo PDP access to inspect materials. That you can find on page 6 of the Daily Independent. A couple of reactions in respect to the Edo election. NAFDAC workers begin indefinite strike. Still on page 6. A Dangote refinery will propel Africa out of poverty. Coming from IBN Chambers. Don't give a salary to LG's union, tell FG. Demands fund be made first line change of FARC. That was on page 5 of the Daily Independent. That is a union reacting about the allocations getting to the local government, the salaries and the funds, elaborating that they must, federal government should not give out the allocation to the local government, demanding funds to be made first line change on the FARC. All organs of APC except NWC are not functioning. Lukman. A writer says other parties held to ransom with syndicated leadership crisis. Laments NAS, now a parasol of presidency. That's it's on the Daily Independent. As much stopping the stories right there is that of River State, where Tinubu has warned that angry parties must not in any way seek self-help. He has warned, and the writers to that story will get more interactions on that. We now get to the Daily Trust. On the Daily Trust, Tinubu released 1,200 fertilizer bags to each senator and 600 to rep. Tinubu released 1,200 fertilizer bags to each senator, 600 to rep. A bandit killed 8 Samfara community guards. Bandits killed 8 Samfara community guards. Also have a Rivers crisis escalates. 4 LG Secretariat bonds. Tinubu directs IGP to restore order. Mike meekness, not weakness. Fubara as governor of Rivers State. Reactions must, of course, when you look at the issues of Rivers State, where we've seen concern about the governor is now, it's blowing hot that nobody should take his meekness to be a sign of a weakness. You know, when you look at the fact that he's not really a talking person, but probably he was confronted with a situation where he had to take, but then he shouldn't have, also take into consideration that, taking the laws into your hands probably may also be a way of doing the right thing, but in the wrong way. But we're having a concern when it has to do with that. He's saying that my meekness, not weakness, and the presidency has directed the IGP, to restore peace in that, in those areas. And we're so saddened with the fact that 4 local government secretariats have been burnt. And the question I'm asking is, at whose expense, at what cost, would it take to fix that? It's still the taxpayers' money. When you burn a state facilities, it therefore means that the incumbent government or the incumbent chairman that have been elected, have been sworn in, will still apply for funds from the state so as to renovate these things. So in a way, you're still taking the people of Rivers State backward. So I'm not really concerned about when people want to take a political action. They don't probably, weigh the options and look at, the consequences and the aftermath of the situation. Because burning down a secretariat, I've seen that of, is it a Query local government area, a new facility that was built. When you look at the fact that this was a masterpiece. And whosoever did that, whosoever built that, they have discredited that, the person, because it looks that, in a way, you've gone down the the funds of the state that was used, to build all of that. Are you not bothered about how far people can go politically? Because, to me, it really was uncalled for.
Yeah, it's uncalled for. So it's not peculiar to Nigerians alone, or even states. Let's not even go Nigeria, states alone. It's not peculiar to the nation. And even we see this happen politically outside of the country. We saw the assassination attempt on Trump, and as far as going after the candidates themselves to, do them harm, it just tells you how desperate and hungry people are for power, and they will do anything, to retain power or have power in their possession. And so, but we must understand, I don't know how much we can continue to appeal to the consciences of people who perpetrate this act, that when they say when 2 elephants fight, the ground suffers. So we see that when 2 major political parties or major contenders begin to have this sort of crisis and, friction, the people who suffer are the people at the grassroots, the states. For example, these secretariats that were burnt down, these facilities that were burnt down, who is going to pay for it? It's taxpayers' money as well. People from the state are going to suffer for it. They're going to suffer for it. And so let's look beyond who we're trying to make a point to, or who we're trying to hurt, yes, in the meantime. But in the longer run, who bears the consequences, who suffer the consequences? Still the taxpayers and the people of the state. So we continue to see why, we wonder why, and the states, the state is a prototype of what the nation is, Nigeria is. So these things that happen at the grass level only boils down to tell you what even happens at the federal level. So we must begin to apply wisdom. We must begin to think right. At what extent am I doing what I'm doing? Who suffers in the long run? Because it falls back to us at the end of the day. And those who are sent forth to perpetrate this act, think twice. Because most of those people are young boys, who will grow up to
young girls.
young boys and young girls. But we see, but we know who is predominantly exactly at it. You know, it's the guys that is at the forefront of it.
Right there.
Yeah. So,
I mean, when we look at all of these, we see that it still falls back to the point that, you know, when the young people are actually clamoring, you know, when you look at the fact that you are crying for unemployment, you are crying for these hunger and all of that, and you are still being used, because at 2024, we are still talking of thuggery, you know, in a political system. Have people not really have enough lessons to understand that nobody really cared for you? Okay, take for instance, if we get tomorrow and Fubara get to settle their scores, if for instance, these are the two fighters, who will lose? You know, so you've been used to burn down a secretariat at the detriment of your economy, of your state economy, of your local government economy, and your development, because that facility is not built in Abuja, it's not built in any other place, it's built in a community. You know, it were beautifying even the place. So, but I mean, a very sad one right there for some of these local government, Equatorial local government, and others who were burnt just yesterday at the cause of the crisis. And all the headlines we have here from Daily Trust: FCT primary school teachers suspend strike. LCT primary school teachers were on strike in respect to some of their allowances and wages with government, and you know, where it was a response that the government must pay attention to some of these things. And we've always been, I've been one of those who have always been agitating that it's quite very important that the teachers, you know, those who are actually giving back knowledge in the classroom must be prioritized, because we've seen where they tell you that the reward of teachers are in heaven. And then I'm not asking, is it the reward of politician here on earth, and then the teachers have to go to heaven before they can reap their reward? So we must begin to see that teachers must also get their reward here on earth. They must be taken care of. They must be paid. Their wages shouldn't be something that, you know, they should be arguing about. So going on the strike, yes, we do not want a strike. Yes, we do not want our people to be back home. We do not want to frustrate the education of these ones. But what are you doing to making sure that, you know, you arrest some institution? It's not really too much for them to ask. They are not asking of houses. They are not asking of cars like our senators and our House of Reps. They are not asking of allowances for them to travel out of the country. All what they are asking are the basics. And I think it's always time that governments should at all time pay attention to the basics. We also have a concern, right? The cholera kills 7 persons in Kano. A very devastating one there. Dangote Refinery. Nigerians may pay more for petrol as NNPC quits middleman role. Nigerians may pay more for petrol as NNPC quit middleman role. Arada says Middle East tension to spark higher fuel costs. 400,000 barrels per day for Dangote as Daira for crude deal begins. We were just talking about how the also will improve. We're having a flip side of the story that Nigerians may have to pay more.
And this is disheartening.
Well, I understand the angle of the business. We understand that NPC, yes, the government regulated, you know, private institution where no matter how they want to make profit, they also have some regulation. They also have a limit to how far they can go. But you see these independent marketers, we can't really trust them. But even a way, we have more independent marketers going into the market. I mean, going to Dangote to lift some of the product. There will be competition. So if one is selling at 1,500, I mean, the other person may want to sell at 1,000 now to make profit. But in a way, it's also determinant to the fact that these people may also form a gang and decide to sell it at, you know, a price that is not affordable to Nigeria. So we in as much as we want the independent marketers to have access to the product, NNPC should not completely, you know, leave Nigerians, the fate of Nigerians into the hands of these persons so as to determine how far we can buy. But yes, we need the competition, because when there's a competition in the market, you know, the market is sometimes always very friendly. Let's get to a couple of other papers this morning. Great.
Our next point of call will be the New Telegraph. The New Telegraph for you. A couple of stories here on the front page of the New Telegraph. But let's begin with the big story which says, you can't win all fights. Let's go of rivers. We need peace. Fubara tells Wike. Ryder says de-escalate tension in the state. Tinubu tells government and stakeholders. We also have directs police to restore and maintain peace. Intervening to forestall repeat of 1962 Western Region crisis. Bode George tells President. Hoodlums sets Ikwere Eleme local government areas ablaze, and councillors in attacked councils hold first legislative assembly sitting. All of these are the reports from the Rivers State. INEC should re-examine police deployment during elections. Clark here. And the federal government designates Air Peace Keverton to Brazil as both nations indicate direct flight operations. Be transparent about 30 trillion naira debt clearance. PRP tells Tinubu, urges National Assembly to probe debt swap. Edo Goba petition, APC, INEC obstructing cause of justice. PDP alleges, releases timetable for zonal congress. Above the nameplate, we have Dangote to get 400,000 barrels per day of Nigerian crude in 2 months. And NIBSS cashless policy boosts POS deployment by 32.3% to record 3.5 million. These are the stories. And lastly, we have Tinubu to judiciary. We can't win anti-graft war with technicalities. Frivolous appeals. Ryder says Abbas urges judges to prosecute all corrupt people. And Nigeria has recorded 54 new suspected cases of monkeypox, according to the NCDC. These are the stories we have on the front page of the New Telegraph. Our next point of call will be the news, the Nigerian News Direct.
On the big story, the front page of the News Direct, frivolous appeals, technicalities undermining anti-corruption effort. Tinubu, right out, says calls for urgent judicial reforms to combat corruption in Nigeria. As CJ and Kekerekun have some collaboration between judiciary and anti-graft agencies. NLNG celebrates journalists with awards for over 20 years of reporting. 84 lecturers died in 3 months over unpaid salaries. Also, that you can find on page 2 of the Nigerian News Direct. Sanwo-Olu is committed to food security commissioner. The house shortened contracting cycle is fostering an increased investment in all sector. That's coming from NCDMB. Police unseal Rivers Council as Asani set Eleme Ikwere Secretariat ablaze. That's on page 3. Just quickly to react on these, ASU 84 lecturers died in 3 months over unpaid salaries. We just keep on wondering how far the agreement of 2009 and all of those outstanding agreement they have been having with the federal government, how far it's really going. We don't want a situation where ASU get to hit again on another strike, which is at the detriment of many Nigerian students. But we are having a concern how far the welfare of the lecturers those that are in the classroom, those that are trying to impart knowledge then due to unpaid salaries. And they're making an outcry right here from this headline. There's a need for federal government to respond swiftly to the unpaid salaries of some of the lecturers. 84. This is just statistics that have just been confirmed. We do probably understand that sometimes some of these statistics are not really reflective of what probably is on ground, meaning that more people may be a victim of this situation. So it's not an healthy move. It's not really a welcome development. But in a way, federal government must understand that they need to tackle some of these standing salaries or standing allowances of the lecturers and get committed in getting them paid in respect to the month that they have been held. Frivolous appeals, technicalities undermining anti-corruption effort. That's coming from Tinubu. And just CJN Kekerekun is harping on collaboration between the judiciary and the anti-graft agencies. The collaboration between the anti-graft agencies with the judiciary is a must if we must get to fight corruption to a standstill. And that's what the CGN is glamoring for, making an urgent call that there must be a judicial reforms to combat corruption in Nigeria, just to get corruption addressed, issues of corruption in the country are properly addressed. That's it on the Nigerian News Direct. I kindly get the paper as you get more in-depth knowledge on the headlines on the page.
Yes, our next point of call now will be News Hub, Daily News Hub, which we'll bring to you now. Big story says Rivers Day of Rage. Protests, gunshots, explosion rock local government as new chairman resume. After police withdrawal, talks unleash violence and one feared dead. We have 3 council secretariats set ablaze and police aloof as thugs unleash violence. Above just beside the nameplates of that story, still on Rivers crisis, Fubara unfair to us. Police say, according to the police, says IGP Egbetokun, well respected, sought after globally. Rivers crisis again, flights between evil, good, truths and lies, according to clerk here, urges feuding leaders to put the past behind. Dangote refinery to get 400,000 barrels per day of crude as Naira for crude deal begins. Still on Rivers crisis, allow Fubara to work, but a judge tells Wike. Video evidence contradicts Akwa Ibom electoral body, shows PDP won Akpabio's local government election as Governor Eno swears in newly elected local government chairman. Also, on the front page of the Daily News Hub, we have BB and NUJ court set to hear alleged serial breaches of constitution by Chris Iziguzo, led CWC. And then this on entertainment here, saying Kelly Ray receives grand prize of 60 million naira, an SUV in viral video of the just concluded Big Brother Niger. I paid 5 million naira upfront to senior advocate of Nigeria for pardon, Bobrisky explains. He claims police fail attempt to abduct foreigner in Anambra. Big story underneath still, Rivers crisis, Tinubu waits in, others police to intervene. And lastly here we have unpaid salaries, 84 lecturers die in 3 months, according to the Association of Senior Staffs of University, ASU. This is sad that 84 lecturers rather, in the space of 3 months have died due to hardship, economic hardship and unpaid salaries. We all know how important and how pivotal the role of lecturers are, in this part of the world, here where we come from, and having to impact knowledge in the lives of young people, young Nigerians, day in, day out, every month, and their salaries have been unpaid for, are constantly unpaid. They're constantly owed their salaries, owed what is due them. Like Gideon said, let the reward be here in heaven. Let's see teachers get their rewards here, because they're doing a very vital role, in imbibing knowledge in young Nigerians, in young people, instilling knowledge in us. And so they should be paid their salaries. It's really very appalling and sad to see that lecturers die as a result of the hardship that they experience and unpaid salaries. Some of them have bills to pay, hospital bills as well. Some of them are on medications, constant medications that, they need money to be able to sort out these bills and also get medications as well. And if they don't, we should let us look in the direction of these people, lecturers, teachers, our security, our military men and all that. Let's look in their direction and treat them fairly. The government should do the needful. Proper security should be given to them. Pension. What happens? Life after now. We see a lot of military officers. We've even seen civil servants as well. The other time a broadcaster was here who was a director, in one of the broadcast stations, who had retired. talking about life after retirement, pension, he still owed gratuities up till now. And these conditions, they have families as well, can put them in a very deteriorating state and even cost them their lives and that of their loved ones. So let's begin to treat people who play pivotal and key role in Nigeria fairly, so that we don't have such appalling cases like this. Our next point of call, I think that's all we have on the front page of the Daily News Hub. Our next point of call, Michael Edika will bring to us.
Let's get to the Nigerian Tribune. The big story coming from Nigerian Tribune this morning. Rivers burns. Writer says Tinubu orders police to restore peace. Other as hoodlums set 3 LG secretariat ablaze. Violence. Shootings erupt hours after IGP withdrew policemen from secretariat. Call Wike to order. It should let Fubara breathe. But the judge advises Tinubu. INC want presidents to pay special attention to Rivers politics. Wike should let go, Fubara says. Now let's get to other stories still from the front page of Nigerian Tribune. Don't give a salary to LGs. Union tells FG. Demand funds to be made first line charge. That's on page 25 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Kogi government approved 72,500 naira minimum wage. That's on page 25. Withheld result affected candidates to no fate on Thursday. That's coming from WAEC. NAFDAC workers embark on strike. Page 17. Edopo. APC supporters storm INEC office as court grants PDP right to inspect election materials. Nigerian awaits the clarity as NNPC quits as middleman in Dangote petrol purchase. Ibadan will be headquarters of proposed Southwest Development Commission. Senate leader says president to sign bill into law after vacation. You can find that on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. Just reacting to this concern about Kogi government approving 72,500 minimum wage. That's going beyond the federal government. That's showing Monzo that, I love my workers, I love my people, and that's the reason why I have to top 2,500 compared to the 70,000 our federal government. We give it to the Kogi State governor.
Yeah, we give it.
When you look at the
them.
fact that Kogi State have been the center focus of anti-corruption allegations and all of that, but the governor, although he's answering, I'll do more than the federal government. So we must give him kudos for. It's a step in the right direction. If federal government cannot pay more than 70,000, and we have a governor that can do that, how far?
Well, we give kudos to Ododo for that, for doing that, for agreeing to.
At least the good news coming from Kogi State.
Yes, good news coming from Kogi State. But we want to see, as much as we give kudos, we also want to see that while this has been mentioned and announced, we want to see the proper implementation. Let us see, and we hope that we don't have cases where we hope that it's followed duly and workers are paid as at when due. They're not owed salaries as we see in the previous administration, and that this is properly implemented. Yes, we want to see them receive these salaries and receive it when due, so that they're not owed salaries for long. So it's a welcome development on the part of.
It's not just about talking; it's about walking the talk.
So we want to see action play out, the talk being walked.
Very much, absolutely. The Kogi State government, congratulations to the workers and government. We are also having a concern that it's not just about coming out to tell us how far you can go. But let's just begin to see the impact. Let's get to the direction of paying that, and let us hear from the workers this time that they'll be saying, yes, indeed, a governor and a government are walking the talk of 72,500. That's a very good landmark where you want to ask the yardstick of federal government and state government, they can battle this. But that's coming from Kogi State, and we'll give kudos to him. I'm having a particular concern about this government, the union telling government not to release, their funds to LG. We're just having a conversation about the local government autonomy, and then, like my guest said, You see, we can't say that we are granting financial autonomy and then politically, our local government are not free. People do not have to elect who they really want. People of character are already been elected. But what we are having in many states as of this election we've monitored is that it's just about the selection, the recycling of governors, choosing who they want to be, a party sweeping in all. Just different in Akwa Ibom. That's my own state where we see the governor giving the Senate President local government to APC because Akwa Ibom is PDP. And then at the moment where he did that, APC had one local government and PDP had 30. But in other cases, it has been a one-party system having to take it all. And then we are more concerned, not even about the party taking it up, because, if we are saying that that's the ruling party in the state, it means that that's the most popular and accepted party in the state. But we're having a concern about the character of persons that have been elected. Because autonomy is about competency. This is about having to receive directly from the federal government. And the union are now scared that if their salaries are not being, is now being pushed to local government, with the persons probably that are having a lack of trust on, probably they are more satisfied with the state still paying them salaries. We cannot talk of autonomy without asking that local government should begin to pay their workers and do all of that. So they're having a more concern and they're afraid. And it's justifiable because when you look at the outcome of the election, we cannot even see that we really have much trust on this person to manage these because funds that will be coming into local government. So the union announced saying, federal government, please do not release our funds to local government. We are not too sure of those persons yet, but in a way, it's a concern that government must pay attention to that cry, because we don't want a situation where union salaries have been given to the local government, and then we start hearing 5 months down the line, 2 months down the line,
salaries have not
salary have not been paid. So it's a justifiable concern, and we must pay attention to that crime. All right, in a bit to wrap up on the Nigerian Tribune, courts restrictions are impaired EFCC investigation in 10 states. We'll look higher there. That's coming from the EFCC chairman, that the court restrictions are impaired EFCC investigation in 10 states. That's on page 25 of the Nigerian Tribune. You can get the papers to have more in-depth analysis and details on that. That does the wrap it up on the headlines of the Nigerian Tribune. Let's get to other papers this morning.
Well, we have the Daily Times for you this morning, front page of the Daily Times. And big story here says, Tinubu to judiciary, anti-graft war won't be won by technicalities and frivolous appeals. Rather says, restates federal government's commitment to creating right environment for judicial officers to discharge their responsibilities. Also, list student loan fund consumer credit scheme as federal government strategic initiative to curb corruption. Above the nameplate, Shetima seeks stronger federal government private sector synergy for economic growth. And then we have Rivers, allow Fubara to work, Body George tells Wike. Says any threats to peace in Rivers will eventually lead to a huge security implications for Nigeria, West Africa, and Africa. Tinubu decries violence in Rivers, directs police to provide security to local government offices. Also, NAFDAC, Son orders harmonized position on Codex food labeling standard. Federal government launches CNG tricycles portal for youth participation. These are the stories we have on the front page of the Daily Times. Some of the stories we have reacted to as well. Let's now look at the Guardian newspaper for you quickly.
And up next to the Guardian newspaper, big story, state of emergency stalks Rivers as political talks attack council. The faces right there as Tinubu, the IGP, the Governor Fubara, Wike, and Attorney General of the Federation. These are really the factors that must be coming in, and it looks at all signal and are trying to get attention for state of emergency. But it looks at if more peace can be restored, if stability can be restored, this may not be the case. Anti-graft war won't be won by technicalities, declares Tinubu. Worries over petrol price as Tinubu deregulates downstream sector. That's on page 6. 80% of Africans unhappy with delivery of democratic rule, says Kekerekun. That's on page 3. NAFDAC champions food labeling standards as workers commence indefinite strike. Police arrest Arabosola's loyalists for accusing Oyotola of using palliative rice as birthday gift. That's on page 7. All right, I will get more interaction on that. Reviving Kamato's technical education behind the enrollment drive. Courts reduces bail of 5 and bad governance protesters to 5 million naira each. That's on page 3. And worries over petrol prices, Tinubu to regulate the downstream sector. That's for NMPC. And the courts reacting to the bill. I mean, when you look at this issue of the end bad governance protesters and the courts reducing the bill to 5 million naira each, and if it's about trying to commit treason, yes, we understand that this is justifiable. But if it's just a matter of paying attention to the fact that these ones were the ones, went out to the street the first 10 days of August in protesting the hunger and the hardship in the country, and they were arrested. Yes, the arrest may be in order, that probably government have some information beyond what we know, but we're having a concern over the charge and bail of over 5 million now. If truly it might be justifiable for that amount. But we must pay attention to the fact that if people are protesting, I think this is really a concern. We must get the motive of Nigerians. And even as much as we are not trying to help it for anyone, but we have a concern that if people are protesting and carry out their lawful right to protest, there should also be a concern of having to know what is the motive behind this. Have we paid attention to the voices and what they are really drawing attentions to? Arrest might not put the situation, may not be able to completely stop the situation. We must go beyond the arrest, we must go beyond the detention and pay attention to what the Nigerians and the protesters were really clamoring for. Because if really the economy is bad and everyone are having to have a concern about it, this is what government must pay attention to. The economy is important. If people are asking that hunger is real in the country, if people are asking that transportation fares is high due to some of the hard policies from the government, then this is a time for government to also pay attention to these issues, and that arresting protesters may not completely put the situation to rest. But we give it to them for the confidence that they may have to begin to have a protest to get the country of our dream. In a climate society, it is what people do to get the better. They get better things for the society to develop, and I think we must also do that in accordance with the law. And that's it. That the federal government has granted, the court has granted a bill of 5 million for each of them for in respect to that protest. We'll have a whole couple of other ones just shortly after the break, as we just have to go on a quick break right away. And once we return from the break, we'll have a more in-depth interaction about the headlines we have on the papers this morning and get to do our more on
after the AM
stories after the AM news.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the Global AM News on Global Television. We're coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Queen Agaba. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nigecomsat. President Bola Tinubu has urged Governor Siminalayi Fubara, political leaders and their supporters in Rivers State to exercise restraint and uphold the rule of law. He urged the political actors and their supporters to settle their differences in court, noting that self-help has no place in a democratic system. In a statement signed by his Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the president ordered the police to guard public facilities to restore and maintain peace, law, and order immediately. The president's admonition follows reports of arson and vandalism of public facilities in Rivers State after last Saturday's local government elections. In the meantime, Rivers State Commissioner of Police Bala Mustafa has ordered the immediate unsealing of the secretariats of the 23 local government areas in the state. This follows a directive from the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetoku. In a statement released by the spokesperson for the State Police Command, Grace Iringe Koko, the decision was set to comply with the IGP's orders. The unsealing of the secretariats comes just 24 hours after Governor Siminalayi Fubara swore in the newly elected chairman who emerged from Saturday's local government elections. Newly elected Benue State Local Government Council chairmen have been told to uphold diligence and selflessness in the discharge of their duties. Governor Hyacinth Alia, who gave the charge at the swearing-in ceremony of the chairman at the Government House Makurdi, also enjoined them to uphold accountability and transparency in the discharge of their duties. The Akwa Ibom State Governor, Umo Ena, has sworn in the newly elected chairman and vice chairman for the 31 local government areas of the South State. The swearing-in took place at the conference hall of the Government House, Uyo, the state capital. The People's Democratic Party won 30 chairmanship seats, while the All Progressives Congress won 1 seat. Addressing the new chairman and vice chairman at the ceremony, the governor charged them to make the people's welfare a priority and see their election as a call to service. The Federal Ministry of Youth Development has announced the launch of its compressed natural gas e-portal for youths in the commercial transport sector, particularly those interested in operating CNG-powered tricycles across the country. The Ministry of State for Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande, disclosed this at a press conference in his office. On October 1st, 2024, the federal government, through the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative and the ministry, unveiled the distribution of 2,000 CNG-powered tricycles to empower Nigerian youths. In his address during the event, the project director of PICNG, Michael Oluwagbemi, says the distribution of the tricycles marks the fulfillment of promises made by President Bola Tinubu to reduce transport costs and enhance economic well-being, among other benefits. The chairman of Ekpe local government area of Lagos State, Sura Animashaun, says that the upgrade of the Ekpe General Hospital to Federal Medical Center is a crucial step to addressing the healthcare needs of residents within the council and beyond. According to her, this would attract infrastructure development and create employment for the teeming youth. The council boss stated this in Ekpe while thanking the federal government led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the state governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. The Rivers State House of Assembly screened and confirmed 4 new commissioner nominees presented by the governor, Siminalayi Fubara. Reading a letter sent by the governor to the House, the Speaker, Victor Oko Jumbo, listed the names of the nominees, which included Israel Ungbuelu, Evans BP, Otamiri Ungubo, and Benebo Anabraba, I beg your pardon. Also, the leader of the House, Sokari Goodboy, noted that 3 of the nominees were former lawmakers and therefore urged his colleagues to allow the nominees take a bow before the plenary. The Lagos State House of Assembly has immediately suspended the chairman of Alimosho local government area, Jelili Sulaiman, effective immediately. The decision, which was reached during a plenary session after lawmakers voted unanimously to remove Sulaiman over allegations of misconduct and defiance of the Legislative House. The Lagos State Assembly suspends Alimosho Council Chairman, published on the Assembly website, and confirmed the suspension. Vice Chairman Akingbelu Johnson has been directed to assume control of the Council's affairs. The Labour Party has welcomed the offer by the new Nigeria People's Party NNPC's presidential candidate in the 2023 election, Senator Rabiu Kwakwanso, to be running mate to Labour Party's Peter Obi in the 2027 presidential election. Kwakwanso, in a recent viral post, indicated his willingness to serve as running mate the former Labour Party presidential flag bearer barely 2 years after talks between both parties went south. It was reported that the Labour Party and the new Nigeria People's Party had considered a merger ahead of the 2023 general elections, but the inability of either Obi or Kwakwanso to concede the leadership collapsed the heightened move. The Federal Capital Territory Commissioner of Police, Olatunji Disu, has reiterated commitment to improving the security situation in the nation's capital. Olatunji made this known while assuming office as the 32nd Commissioner of Police for the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Kikelomo Okere has details.
It was a ceremonial welcoming as the Federal Capital Territory Police Command new CP assumed office. Shortly after the inspection of the quarter guard, CPD to read a riot act on those who seek to disrupt the tranquility of the FCT.
To those who seek to disrupt the tranquility of the FCT, I send a clear and resolute message. My tenure will be marked by a zero-tolerance approach to all forms of crimes and criminality.
CPD so added that his tenure will leverage on modern technology to aid policing efforts.
We are going to integrate technology into our policing. We will leverage modern technology to aid our policing efforts, utilizing tools such as data analytic and surveillance system to enhance our operational efficiency.
The Commissioner of Police was welcomed by a huge presence of the Intelligence Response Team, Special Tactical Squad, and Civilian Joint Task Force. Kikelomo Okere Global Television News.
The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security has pledged to significantly reduce post-harvest losses in the agricultural sector by 25% as part of its effort to ensure food security and boost domestic production. This commitment was made during the Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zones High-Level Implementation Acceleration Dialogue held in Abuja. The Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zones Initiative is a Nigerian government program aimed at boosting agriculture through targeted investment, integrating farming, processing, and marketing to increase productivity, reduce losses, and enhance value addition for food security, job creation, and poverty reduction, supported by the African Development Bank, International Fund for Agricultural Development, and Islamic Development Bank. The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, emphasized the urgent need for a collaborative approach to address the existing challenges within the agricultural sector. Kogi State Governor Ahmed Ododo has approved a minimum wage of 72,500 naira for Kogi civil servants effective immediately. The governor also suspended the tax burden on the approved sum for 1 year. Ododo made this known after signing the agreement on the new minimum wage. The new wage of 72,500 naira should take immediate effect to enable it cope with the current situation in the country. As part of efforts to promote health and ensure the safety and well-being of both police personnel and community members affected by the recent floods in Maiduguri and its surrounding areas, the Borno State Police Command has conducted a medical outreach at Mashimami Barracks, Maiduguri. It was disclosed in a statement by the State Police Public Relations Officer. You're watching the Global AM News, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. We'll take a quick break now. The news continues shortly. Please stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. If you've just joined us, this is Global Television bringing you live broadcast of the AM News. The Senior Staff Association of Statutory Corporations and Government-Owned Companies, an affiliate of the Trade Union Congress representing employees of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, has initiated an indefinite strike due to unresolved promotion controversies and welfare concerns. The decision to strike comes after multiple meetings with NAFDAC management yielded no positive outcomes regarding critical issues affecting staff. The aggrieved workers expressed that their grievances had not been addressed, prompting this drastic action. The governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum, has called for increased support from the World Food Programme in driving sustainable solutions for Borno State's recovery from the recent devastating floods. During a meeting with the program's delegation led by its executive director Cindy McCain at the government house in Maiduguri, Zulum expressed deep appreciation for the organization's continued assistance in humanitarian efforts, but emphasized the need to focus on long-term strategies. While addressing the delegation, which consisted of World Food Programme's country director, regional director, and Nigeria's permanent representatives, Zulum listed the damages caused by the September 3rd, 2024 flooding, which submerged key infrastructure including bridges and roads, leaving many communities cut off. Bandits have launched a deadly attack on Kanya village in the Danko Wasago local government area of Kebbi State, killing one resident and abducting several others, including the district head, Issa Daya. It was confirmed that the gunmen stormed the community in the early hours of the day, leaving a trail of fear and devastation. They abducted the district head along with about 10 other villagers. 3 people sustained injuries and are currently receiving treatment at the hospital. The Kebbi State Police Public Relations Officer SP Nafiu Abubakar also confirmed the incident. In business, Asian markets rose after blockbuster U.S. jobs reports suited any concerns about world's top economy. At this same time, the dollar held gains with traders scaling back bets on another bumper interest rate cut. Oil prices edged down as traders await Israel's response to Iran's missile barrage last week amid fears of a region-wide war in the Middle East. The reading was the best in 6 months and sharply higher than in July and August, which had sparked worries that the economy could be heading for a recession. The pump price of fuel has reduced from 1,300 naira and 1,350 naira to between 1,200 naira and 1,150 naira in Abia, following the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation opening its portal for direct request and payments for fuel from members of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. The fuel situation monitored in Abia indicates that some petroleum marketers in Aba and Umuahia have started lifting fuel directly from the NNPC, making the price of the products come down. The dividends from Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, to the federal account derived from crude oil and gas sales through joint ventures assets dropped sharply from $11.9 billion to $1.83 billion after the full implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA. The urgent need to amend the PIA to boost Federation's petroleum revenue argues for a review of the widely acclaimed Industry Act, highlighting that it now reduces government revenue while allowing the NNPC to take the largest share. The federal government is set to deliver up to 400,000 barrels of Nigerian crude oil daily to the Dangote refinery under its Naira for crude agreement. This significant development is expected to take place over the next 2 months, amounting to 24 million barrels of Nigerian supply between October and November 2024. This increase in processing capacity could have substantial implications for both the refinery's operations and the local oil industry, transforming the region's imports and exports markets. On the foreign scene, billionaire CEO Elon Musk has unveiled a new initiative that offers $47 to registered U.S. voters who refer others to sign a petition promoting free speech and right to bear arms. The program specifically targets voters in key swing states, aiming to maximize political influence in the upcoming elections. For every person who refers a person, a swing state voter gets $47. Musk announced this via X. The petition is hosted on the website of Musk's America PAC, a political action committee that aims to gather 1 million signatures from voters in battleground states. Israel began its commemorations of the first anniversary of Hamas's deadly October 7 attack with an outpouring of emotion at vigils at massacre sites and rallies calling for the return of hostages. President Isaac Herzog began the day with a moment of silence at about 6:29 a.m., the exact time the attack started at Kibbutz Reim, the site of the Nova Music Festival, where at least 370 people were killed by heavily armed Hamas fighters in the deadliest attack on October 7. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to achieve victory and says his country's military completely transformed reality in the year since Hamas's October 7 attack, which has left the country fighting 2 wars. Netanyahu told troops Israel will win as it battles militants in both Gaza Strip and Lebanon and prepares to strike Iran. About a year since the unprecedented attack by Palestinian Hamas militants sparked the Gaza war, Israel's army chief, Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi, says 1 year on, they have defeated the military wing of Hamas. The United States President Joe Biden says far too many civilians have suffered during the year of conflict, 1 year on from the Hamas's attacks on 7th October. In a statement released by the White House, he speaks of the unspeakable brutality and the beauty of the lives that were stolen that day. He says he will not stop working to achieve a ceasefire deal in Gaza that brings the hostages home, and says that a diplomatic solution in Lebanon is the only path to lasting peace. In sports, Manchester City Football Club has emerged victorious in its disputes with the Premier League over the associated party transaction rules. The ruling came after the publication of the Rule X Arbitral Tribunal Award, which found several aspects of the Premier League's handling of the APT regulations to be unlawful. In a statement released by the club, it expressed gratitude to the members of the Arbitral Tribunal for their work and considerations and welcomed the findings. The 2024 Ballon d'Or is fast approaching, with football's brightest talents competing for the sport's most prestigious individual accolade. This year's competition is particularly open as Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, who have dominated the award for over a decade, are absent from the shortlist. Messi, a record 8-time winner, and Ronaldo, with 5 wins, have not made the court, setting the stage for a new name to claim the prize. The 2024 Ballon d'Or winner will be announced on Monday, 28 October, at the Théâtre du Châtelet in Paris. The ceremony will mark the 68th edition of the award, with France Football continuing to manage the voting system alongside UEFA's co-organization this year. That's it on the AM News, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on DSTV, channel 365, Star Times, channel 276, and free to air on Nigecomsat. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using our Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. I'm Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching, and see you again.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective,